This is the GTN Show, and this week we have the unfortunate announcement of a few athletes having to withdraw from the Ironman World Champs. Also, Lance Armstrong is back, but this time into the world of triathlon.
Oh, well, on top of that, we've got news from some disruption at Triathlon New Zealand. We've also got our new feature, the question time, as well as some exciting race results as athletes are actually capitalising on the fact that the top contenders are focusing on Kona.
Well, let's talk about Lance Armstrong. Now, I'm sure you're all accustomed and aware with the Lance Armstrong story of how he was banned from all cycling events in 2012 for his doping violation and then given a 4-year ban from all non-cycling events. That 4-year ban has obviously been and gone, and now he's dipping his toe in swim run.
Yeah, well, he has partnered up with the Olympic medalist from 2000, Simon Whitfield, and they've actually made a team called Shower, Shampoo, Blow Dry, Run. And this might sound a bit of a mouthful, but there's actually a bit of a joke behind it. So apparently back in 2012, they had a bit of a Twitter spat where I think Lance Armstrong apparently was dissing triathlon as just being basically getting wet. And then what was, I don't know how the next reference.
Going for a bike ride and then a 10K foot race. So yeah, he basically was saying that triathlon was just waiting for the run to happen, which obviously Simon Whitfield didn't like. But interesting to see them back competing. So they took part in the San Juan swim run in Washington, and they actually placed 3rd out of 21 teams, which is quite impressive. Yeah. And we also, well, we've seen on Strava that Lance has been gearing up for these swim run events, and I think a lot of people were wondering if he's going to try and do the Otelo Swim Run World Champs.
Well, you were worried that you might have him at, to compete against, but we didn't see him there. But I mean, it's got us thinking of the bigger picture, you know, jokes aside, of when, you know, the morals behind athletes who have doped and have served their ban, should they be allowed to come back? And you know, sadly, all sports see it, including triathlons, you know, and you know, we've seen some athletes come from other sports and some get banned within triathlon and come back to it. And I know some athletes really struggle to compete against them as well.
I don't want to make a decision on this or really make a call on this, so we're going to throw it to you guys. We are going to pull up our GTN poll. So this week we are going to ask you, should an athlete who has tested positive then be allowed to compete in triathlon once the ban has been served? Simple yes, no, and other, and we'd like to sort of hear your comments on that, whether, you know, depending on certain circumstances, so you can enter that by clicking just up here. But now for last week's poll.
Yeah, well, last week we were discussing that cold event that was over Weymouth 70.3. So we asked you, should events or triathlon events be cancelled if it's too cold? And it ended up being a pretty split field. Yeah,
it was. So we had 48% of you said yes, they should be cancelled, and 52% of you said no.
And there were a lot of debates under the poll and under that show with, you know, so many people saying it's about having the right kit, and you know, if you're strong enough, then you should be able to do it. And other people were saying, you know, no, if it's not safe, you want your money back. So interesting debate that seems to be ongoing. Okay, now it is time for some announcements that are pretty exciting. It is giveaway time. Now, a few weeks ago, Mark did a video of the Polar unboxing of the Vantage V and the Vantage M, and very generously, Polar are giving away one of each. So we have 2 lucky winners to announce. The first one, which gets the Vantage V as well as the H10, goes to Chelsea Piddington from the UK.
Yeah, and then we also have the Vantage M, which goes to Laura Gegler from Latvia. So congratulations to you both. We will be in touch with both of you to get your information and send those out to you. Yeah, very lucky.
Pretty cool prize, hey? Well, we're being generous here at the moment. We have got some more giveaways, so another chance for you guys to get your hands on a fan kit jersey, but this time we are upping it and we're including a fan kit jersey as well as the fan kit shorts.
The full set, yeah. So to enter that, you just need to go down to the description below this video and hit the link for the giveaway. And this one comes in from Javier Camon, and they said, when I get into an aero position, my neck and my eyes hurt for being in a very extreme position. Am I doing something wrong, or have I just got to get used to it? Again, a very good question, and I think this is something a lot of people fall into the trap of. And I'd even say, when I first started really focusing on my aero position, I also had similar complaints.
Yeah.
Probably worth considering whether you're going too extreme? Are you literally looking down at your feet rather than being able to see the road? In which case, yes, that's probably going to hurt quite a bit. I did spend a long time really working on my aero position. So the biggest sort of takeaway for me was, rather than sort of trying to force this aero position, it was actually about sort of relaxing through my scapula. So
that's your shoulder blades. So I'm going to use
the table here as my elbow.
That's your usual like show
bars.
Position anyway.
Is, yeah.
So you can just practice it all day at your desk.
Yeah,
that's another way to do it.
So rather than like trying to like, you know, force this aero position, it's a case of actually relaxing through the scapula and the shoulders. And as you can see, my head's dropped down a little bit here. But then that also, now because I'm a bit lower with my head, I then have the sort of the room to play with my head position a bit more. Rather than being rigid in this position and then trying to move my head in, I'm actually dropped down so much more, I'm relaxed, and I can move my head up. And also what this allows is me then to shrug my shoulders in, more aerodynamic. Again, this does take a little bit of practice.
And you might get some weird looks from your office colleagues if you don't, unless you work at GTN, when that's just perfectly normal.
Yeah, or just find a table and start presenting to a camera like I do.
But I think also, you know, it's something that does take time, like any new position. So you don't need to go, like you said, fully, you know, aggressive or fully low, and just start to, you know, increment it month at a time. As you get more used to it, then, you know, put your bars a little bit lower, put them further away, and work out what works for you. Okay, it's time for our new news feature when Mark and I get to compete with our stories. But more importantly, we are bringing you exciting and breaking stories from triathlon. Must admit though, this first one that I've got is not the most positive of stories. I'm just going to pin it up. It is the fact that we have got more athletes out of Kona. Sadly, Lorenzo Bozzoni, who a few months ago got knocked off his bike whilst at training in New Zealand and had severe injuries and a lot of operations, and most significantly in his face and his hand, as well as injuries to his brain. Now, he was determined to get back to Kona, and I know at the time when he announced this, everyone was thinking, my goodness, you know, is that really possible? He'd had a great early season. I think it's Ironman New Zealand that he won, and a couple of other victories going.
It's just backing up weekend after the other.
Yeah, it was incredible performance like through the winter. So really sad. But anyway, he even went out to Kona, and he's been training out in Hawaii, but has realised that he's just not quite there, and his body isn't quite ready. So he's made that tough decision that he's going to just take a bit of time out and fully recover.
It's a real shame.
Yeah, and then also we've just heard the last couple of days that Melissa Hauschild has picked up an injury in her hip. She did have one on the other side, had that operated on last year, and she's another athlete that came back from that injury so strong. And so it's really disappointing to see those two out.
My bit of news now, and I'm afraid I'm going to come in with some negative news as well, and this one's around Triathlon New Zealand. So if I pin this one up here, New Zealand problems. Now, this actually come from quite a famous coach in New Zealand, Chris Pallone, who actually coached Hamish Carter to his 2004 Olympic Games gold medal. And he's simply come out and said that Triathlon New Zealand should not receive public money for the sport. He's ashamed of how they're running it and everything else that's going on in there. He says they're almost a little bit archaic in their approach and things need to change. And this has all coincided with their performance director, Mark Elliott, also resigning. And it's really sad actually. I was looking into all of this, and back in, I think it's 2014, Triathlon New Zealand actually used to receive $1.4 million in funding, public funding, to support and help their team. Now they receive just $750,000.
That's quite some cut, isn't it?
Yeah. So simply my news is that Triathlon New Zealand are having tough times, and I really hope that they get through this because they are such a good team, a strong team.
Not a good week for New Zealand, is it? No. Well, I'm not sure whose story is better, but whose is more impactful. Come on then.
Heather?
Yes, I get a win at last.
Okay, well, I'm going to go first this time, and for this one, we need to take a little trip down memory lane. Now, some of you die-hard fans out there might remember the Bordeaux indoor triathlon that took place in 1993. Now, I gave you a bit of homework for this, didn't I, Heather?
You did, yeah. It was some interesting watching.
Yeah, so this was a very short distance triathlon that took place in a velodrome with a 25-metre pool in the middle of it. It was, I believe, a 400-metre swim, a 10-kilometre bike, and then a 2K run. And it attracted some big names. We had Simon Lessing, Mark Allen, Thomas Hellriegel, Brad Bevan. They are like the biggest names of the sport. They are legends of the sport. And it's an incredible race. You saw Brad Bevan taking the win and actually did the run without his shoes on. saddles breaking. It was exciting. Now,
That's a retro kit.
yeah, and you can actually find loads of this, watching the videos on the internet. It's out there. It's very exciting to watch. Now, there is a triathlon club in France, Triathlon 11 or Levin. They are trying to recreate this indoor triathlon. They're doing it over a sort of a festival weekend. I think it's from the 27th of Feb through to the 3rd of March. And the idea is that they'll do these kind of qualifier events. You do like a heats, a semi-final, final. It's going to be over super short distances, even shorter. I think 200-meter swim, 2 kilometer bike, 1 kilometer run. It's really short, really fast. And I'll be honest, I am really excited about this. This is like Super League to the max, like really exciting.
It is cool to see so much like triathlon really just reinventing itself and seeing what people want to watch, but also people want to do.
Well, yeah, I think this is really really visually impressive. Like it's very easy for most people to just sit down to. It's only 20 minutes of your time, and that's it, done.
Yeah, cool. Well, I look forward to seeing that. Right, well, I have probably the other end of the spectrum here, but like a massive challenge. These guys, Charlie Walker and Callie McGigno, have just done a version of a triathlon that spanned 5,000 miles. So from the Arctic Circle all the way down to Istanbul in Turkey. And they cross-country skied, they kayaked, and then eventually cycling the final part to Turkey. And I mean, from what I gathered, I think the first part was probably the hardest, but it was weeks and weeks on end of just carrying all your stuff with cross-country skis. And I think survival was the biggest challenge, to be honest. Like, no one else to be seen, no one else to rescue you, and just the two of them. And I mean, that is an extreme triathlon. That
is very impressive, and the complete polar opposite of my news.
A polar opposite, I like that one.
Well, we'd love to now find out what the results are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Heather's got this one.
Yes! 2-0.
Okay, now for some tech, and I'll try and claw something back here. Although, I can't win now, can I?
No, sorry.
Well,
hate to break it to you.
At least 1 point would be great. Well, now, this is the Velo Sense. And this is all about aerodynamics. Now, you know I like my aerodynamics, and I talk a lot about CDA on the channel and some of these CDA products that are coming onto the scene. So we've got these kind of pitot tubes that can attach to your bike, and they can read real-time CDA data, i.e. how airy you are as you're riding along. Had a few of them ready. This is another one, a new one. It's called the Velo Sense, and the idea of this is actually it's almost its own mini wind tunnel. So it's got a pitot tube in there, but it's created a tunnel around that, so it funnels in the wind. But what they're saying is so different and special about theirs is that it's actually capturing data from different angles, and it's far more accurate from what they say. Really interesting. It is still a concept, or I guess it's more than a concept. It is actually a product, but it's not actually quite available. Sounds like, from what I understand, this isn't something maybe we're going to be able to buy. It's probably more going to be sold off to Garmin or Intel or someone like that. But it's really exciting, really interesting, and that is my news, and I hope I win it.
Well, this next one though, Mark, I think you're going to like purely because you have been riding the older version, because there is a new Cervelo S5 that's just come out.
Definitely not won this one, have I?
I think you're actually going to like this, aren't you? I mean, I've been riding the S3 with disc brakes, but now the S5 is coming with disc brakes, so they're making it obviously more aero. There's also the ability to have wider tyres on it, and they're making all the cabling routed inside, so great for bad weather and things. And I think you'd like to get your hands on one of those.
Well, I think the really exciting bit about this is its stem. So if you saw the front profile of this, it's almost like it's like a V, so it's all missing. So I have seen some leaked images of this, but yeah, this is really exciting. It's actually out now. So the idea is the wind sort of comes through and within the stem. I can't really describe this with that, but it's like that.
I don't know, but I think you're doing a very good job of helping me get another point.
But it's horrible. It looks horrible, and it would look much better with one of these on there. It doesn't. It looks really nice.
3-0.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well now for the race news, and to start things off, for this weekend we had the Super League Triathlon in Jersey, which is quite an exciting format. It takes place over 2 days and attracts some of the top athletes to the event. So the first day was the triple mix, which is essentially 3 different races with 10 minutes between each race, and completely mixing up the format. So you go swim, bike, run, bike, swim, bike, swim, run.
Yeah, well done. I remember it. Yeah, so it's 10 minute. The 10-minute clock starts as soon as the winner crosses the line. So if you're, say, a minute behind, you only get 9 minutes rest, for example. And if you're more than a minute and a half behind the leader, you're out. It's pretty harsh.
Well, after day one, it was actually Vincent Louis that was in the lead for the men's race. We then had Henry Schoeman, Christian Blumenfeld, Johnny Brownlee, and then Richard Murray.
Well, it was Cassandra Beaugrand, so it was a French one on either side for the women. So it was Katie Zaferes who finished in second, Ashley Gentle third, and then it was Kirsten Casper just off the podium in fourth, and Jodie Stimpson in fifth. So still very close on the points going into the next day.
Yeah, and the next day was the enduro format, which was swim, bike, run, 3 times through, continuous. So
it was a 300 swim,
5 kilometre bike and a 1.6 kilometre run.
3 times through, gosh, the intensity of
that.
Yeah.
In the men's race, Vincent Louis managed to stay clear and take the win overall in the day, and obviously taking the overall win as well. Henry Schoeman came home in second. Richard Murray came back in third, but not with enough points to actually take the overall third. So that went to Christian Blumenfeld. Fourth went to Richard Murray, and then fifth was Johnny Brownlee.
Well, it was Katie Zaferes who I think that format really played into her strengths because she's such a strong athlete. So she managed to break away from the others and took the overall win of that, and that gave her enough points from coming second the day before to win overall. On the second day, it's Katie Zaferes' teammate who joined her on the podium in second, Kirsten Casper, and then Cassandra Beaugrand was down in third, but actually the overall results were flipped around. So, as I said, Zaferes won overall, but it was actually Beaugrand who was second overall, and then Kirsten Casper who was third. Well, now on to Ironman 70.3 Cozumel. And on the women's side, it was another win for Ellie Salthouse. She had a consistent performance. It did come down to the run between her and Svenja Toes as they came out of T2 together, but Ellie Salthouse managed to run away and took the win by a minute and a half over Svenja Toes. And then another 8 or so minutes back in third, it was Angela Nath, who I was quite surprised to see competing because we only mentioned in the show last week of how she's actually got a Kona slot, and that's just in 2 weeks' time.
Very interesting. Well, in the men's race, it was a very impressive performance from Michael Weiss. He actually placed outside the top 10 coming out of the swim, but then posted the fastest bike split of the day. No surprises there. It was in fact over 3 minutes quicker than the second best bike split of the day. He then went on to post a 1:18 half marathon to take the win overall. In second, it was Tyler Butterfield, and in third, it was Alan Avila.
We're now on to Ironman Chattanooga, and unfortunately, before the race, they did have some ridiculously heavy rainfalls, and I think it was quite a few days before that they'd already decided that due to the fast-flowing river and also E. coli in the river, they just couldn't hold the swim. And I mean, I've swam in that river and know that it's fast-flowing even without the rain. So it did become purely a bike and a run, and they actually set the athletes off in a time trial format, but it was a 116-mile cycle. I don't know if that was added on because of the swim or if it was just a longer bike course anyway, and then obviously the marathon run.
Yeah, and it really seemed to play into the hands of Cody Beals, who posted the fastest bike and run splits of the day to take the win overall, and an astonishing 11 minutes and 32 seconds ahead of second place finisher Matt Russell, and in third it was Kirill Kostigrov. Well, now we have the Otelo 1000 Lake Swim Run event, which takes place in Germany, and it's quite a spectacular event from what I understand. And this race was really quite special because we had a team for the first time winning every race in the series. So any team that has won numerous races on the trot gets to wear the golden bib, and if they manage to win the whole series of races without getting beaten once, they take home 33,000 euros between the team. And this one was the mixed team, and it went to Team Tule Crew Wolfwear Swim Run. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, pretty consistent to go to just do that many races and to win every one. Impressive. Well, the men's race was won by Team Sport Office, and the women's race at this event was won by Team Swimming Garmin.
Well, finally, Xterra Taiwan. And in the men's race, we had a new pro to the scene, and that was Lewis Ryan. And he led the swim out with Ben Allen, and the two worked really well together on the bike. Dean Kane from Australia was chasing them hard on the bike, and then we had Doug Hall a little bit further back. And actually on a very technical part of the bike course, Ben Allen came off his bike, suffered quite a bad injury with the handlebars going into his ribs. So as Dean Kane was catching him, he actually got off his bike, tried to help him. Allen told him to carry on because he could get back on his bike. And unfortunately, poor guy, 3 kilometers later, suffered a puncture of his own, slashed a tyre, had to run into transition with his bike. And at that point, that's when Doug Hall passed him. Onto the run, and it was Lewis Ryan that went ahead to take his first pro win. And then we had Ben Allen in second and Doug Hall in third.
Well, on the women's race, it was also affected by punches. It was Nicole Waters who led out of the swim with over a minute lead on Jackie Allen. But then they soon became quite close on the bike, and it was sort of a bit of to and froing with the uphills and the downhills. And then Jackie Allen actually got a puncture, I think, just before the final uphill. So Nicole obviously managed to get away, and she never managed to get that gap back on the run. So it was Nicole Waters who took the overall win. Jackie Allen was second, and then in third it was Layla Hancock's.
Right, well now for the caption competition, and last week we had a photo of Fraser Cartmill, who joined us on the show last week, coming out of the Ironman 70.3 Weymouth race from the swim, covered in seaweed. And we had some good captions coming in.
Yes, there was quite a few plays on seaweed also being known as kelp. So before we dive in, I'll just plant that one. Our first one here from Jack Wegal. It's so cold, had to add layers. I mean, we did talk a lot about how horrendous and cold the conditions were. So yeah, nice little scarf maybe.
Yeah, so we had one here from Russell Kaido, and they said, kelp, kelp. A follow-on from that, very similar. Robert Nastasi said, I'm a fine swimmer, I don't need the kelp.
But our favourite this week, so the winner of the GTN cap goes to Izzy Tiddy. I hope no one can see I weed myself.
Very good.
Made me chuckle anyway. Well done.
Well, Izzy, you are the winner of the GTN cap. Get in touch with us, or we'll try and get in touch with you, and we'll send this out to you. Now for this week's caption.
Yeah, now this one I've actually brought into the show, because this is my friend Ella. Now she might kill me putting this picture in, but it is my back you can see, and we were just about to swim 6K swim at the Exmoor Open Water event, and we're in the holding pen before our race. And I want to know what I've said to Ella.
Have you just told her that it was 6K?
Might have. I'm pretty sure she was aware, but maybe
we just
not.
Signed up to 1K.
Yeah, thought it was just one lap of the lake. So yeah, I'd love to know what you guys would suggest that I might have said to Ella, or a general caption for that photo. So do drop those in the comments section below.
Okay, well now a chance for us to look through some of the lovely photos that you guys have sent in to us. So the first one is of a swim start for, I believe it is the Vitruvian, the English national champs for the middle distance, which is actually the first ever middle distance race I did.
Oh, was it such beautiful conditions when you did it?
It was very misty when I did it, so I think we got about 100 metres into swim and no one can see each other. So this next one is from Sarah, and this is their pain cave.
Well, Sarah's sent this in from Sweden. It's her Bianchi Sempre B4P.
Love it. Well, moving on, we now have a very interesting one sent in from Dale, and this is at the Ironman 70.3 Super Frog competition in California. And they were just setting up their bike, walking through transition, and they spotted this. And they wondered, what is it? Well, Dale, it is... I was going to say a very old bike, but it's only 1997.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah.
It's quite a retro bike anyway. It's
not something you see regularly.
No, it is the Soft Ride wind shear bike. As I've said, from 1997, it became quite popular. A few pros we saw riding it, and not too dissimilar from, I guess, our P5X, a beam frame sort of design. All right, next one is sent in from Victor from the Netherlands, and this is their Merida Reacto 400, which is a road bike with clip-on aero bars.
Well, he's going to get square eyes if he's on Zwift or something, as it looks like he might be. And watching GTN, I don't think I'd want to watch us that closely, but I'm impressed. Also has the treadmill ready to jump straight off the bike with a stride power meter, so all the stats ready to go.
Yeah, it's a full setup there. It's very nice, and a Heineken mat underneath the bike just for
any spillage.
Brilliant. And then finally, this one from Anatoly, and this is their Cannondale Slice RS with their Planet X wheels, although I was going to say they look like Zip, but they are Planet X. And this is from the Malta 2018 Sprint Triathlon Championships, and they managed to get a PB.
Nice work.
Very nice. Well, do please keep sending in your photos using our uploader, your swim locations, your pain caves, your transition zones, anything you like, really.
All of it, yeah. Well, that is it for this week's show, and I'm afraid we're not going to be here next week, but don't worry, we will have a show because we've got a slightly different location. We are going to be in Kona.
I'm going to be drinking my pina colada mid-show next week. I'm sorry if it doesn't make much sense, but we'll do our best. But no, in all seriousness, we're really looking forward to heading out to the Ironman World Championships next week. We've got loads of content coming from it, meeting all the pros, seeing the new bikes. What
Yeah.
new bikes? I didn't mention that, sorry. But we'll be putting all of that on the channel soon. And yeah, I mean, if you like this show, hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more videos from GTN, just click on the globe and subscribe.
Yeah, and if you want to see a video that we've done recently on Mythbusters for the gym, that's just here.
Yeah, and if you'd like to see the how to run a sub 40-minute 10K video, just click down here.